Welcome back for another video. I spoke to 5 FPL World Champions to see how they're feeling about the new season, and more importantly how their teams lined up. There's quite literally never been so many World Champions involved in one piece of content ever. Thanks to all 5 for getting involved. You're going to love this one. Links where to follow all 5 champions in the description. We're on the road to 200,000 subscribers where I'm going to get the Focal logo tattooed if we hit that milestone. Hit subscribe to get involved. First up's Jamie Piggott, who recently won FPL, and he set the record for the most points in the entire history of the game with 2,844 points. His team is Miguel, Vardiol, Porro, Trent, Ødegaard, Foden, Gordon, Salah, Muniz, Isak and Darwin, so 3-4-3, and on his bench he's got Valdemarson, Rogers, Barco and Howard Bellis. He sent in some thoughts as well. He said, "I'm looking at an early wildcard in Game Week 4 or 5, with the hope that I can avoid many transfers early. I'm looking at that block of 3 or 4 in isolation and picking based on that. Because of that, I'm keeping it simple. I'm not paying any attention to team structure or how I'll afford this or that after Game Week 1. Just pick the best players for 3 weeks. No Haaland. At Haaland's price, he has to score twice every game to justify it. And going without empowers so much more across the team. I'd rather have 5 decent chances at hauls compared to 1. At the back, I'm going strong to start with 2 4-mils on the bench. Barco seems in the short term a no-brainer. Don't feel great going without an Arsenal defender. In the midfield, I don't have huge confidence in Salah, but the fixtures are too good. Foden may not stay based on the latest comments on returning summer players. I'm likely to go with more secure minutes. Sonny and Eze are the other 2 that are high on my list. Up top, Isak's a lock. Muniz versus Wood for the 6-mil slot, both have got good fixtures. I like Muniz taking a leap this year after impressing last year, despite the dip at the end. Darwin's there, pending secure minutes leading the line. If he doesn't give me confidence in that, I've got my eye on Havertz, or I could go with a Muniz-Wood double up and upgrade a midfielder. So I think it's an incredibly well balanced team. He's gone big at the back, very strong in midfield, and he's still able to fit Isak up top. Muniz is someone who's been in a few of my drafts, and I do prefer him to Wood. He faces 2 promoted teams in the opening 3 game weeks. As Jamie says, Pep's remarks on Foden could be enough to swerve him Game Week 1, but going in a bit blind without a single pre-season minute played by Foden. Currently, I would favour Havertz over Darwin, but as Jamie says, if he's looking secure for minutes, why not take the chance with those fixtures? I feel that whoever plays centre forward for Liverpool is going to thrive under slot system. 2 4-mil defenders on the bench is a bit light, but given he's got 3 premium defenders, I do see it as viable. You just need to plan around Porro's Game Week 3 and 4 fixture really. Greaves for 4 mils one to look at as well, and then you get Fulham home Game Week 3, and you get Barco home to Ipswich Game Week 4. Next up, Simon Marsh, probably the greatest FPL manager to win the whole thing, having finished top 10k several times and he's got a ton of top 100k finishes, so how's he looking for Game Week 1? His team's Flecken, Vardiol, Burn, Gabriel, Hudson-Odoi and Kunku, Gordon, Salah, Muniz, Isak and Haaland, and he's got Areola, Colwill, Winks and Howard Bellis on his bench. Those of you that are team Salah and Haaland are going to be delighted by this one. Simon made a very interesting comment. He said, for him, Game Week 1's not all about maximising points, it's about insulating yourself. So if Salah or Haaland explode, you don't have a mountain to climb buying them. And off the get-go, you've got 2 of the best captain options every week. Simon also said Salah's got a notable history of doing well Game Week 1, which is very much true. I looked it up and here's some of Salah's past Game Week 1 scores. He got 12 points in 22-23, 17 points in 21-22, 20 points in 2021 and 12 points in 19-20. The trade-off is obvious. There's no Arsenal attack, there's no Trent, no Palmer. Though if Nkunku can deliver for 6.5 mil, then no Palmer's far from an issue. Simon's picked 2 rotating 4.5 mil keepers in Flecken and Areola, who he said he sees as 2 really solid picks from well-established teams. Something else he said is that he looks at which teams concede the most shots from outside the box, and lo and behold, West Ham conceded the most shots from outside the box last season, and Areola had the 2nd most saves as well behind Onana, and this was something which he said has consistently worked for him in the past. And I can see what he means. Shots from outside the box are always lower XG, but in FPL, saves are save and you get the points regardless. I thought that was a super interesting piece of insight. I don't dislike the Gabriel pick at all. I'm expecting Calafiori to be used in left back rather than Arteta disrupt the Gabriel-Saliba partnership. Best defence in the league last season, home fixture Game Week 1, albeit mixed opening fixtures after that. Simon said that Isak's an absolute lock for him. Gordon on the other hand, there's more of a range of players you can go for there. If Trippier leaves Newcastle this window, then I'd switch Burn to Livramento. Simon's a Chelsea fan and he says he likes Colwill as a hidden gem as he can play left centre back or he could play left full back, and he could tuck into the back 3 if James or Gusto invert, or Colwill could invert himself. As I say, he's a Chelsea fan, so Nkunku and Colwill 2 to keep an eye on. He also said Maresca's got a different philosophy, he's much more focused on possession. So Simon reckons we'll possibly see fewer goals scored but fewer goals conceded. There were a lot of crazy results last season bailed up by Palmer's brilliance. In case you missed it, after Man City's most recent pre-season friendly against Barcelona, Pep said, Haaland had some niggles, he didn't feel good and that's why he didn't play in the second half. Something to monitor for all the Haaland owners out there. On to Ali Jahangirov's team, who's a really maverick manager, and he's been on the channel before when he was rank 1, and he's finished top 1k before as well. His team's Miguel, Gabriel, Burn, Trent, Son, Erdegaard, Gordon and Nkunku, Hudson-Odoi, Isak and Haaland. On the bench he's got Turner, Fast, Ladapo and Howard Bellis. I should add, he says, Son is a placeholder for one of Palmer or Saka due to good 2 opening fixtures. Having a player in that price bracket should make a straight switch easy. And he says this team's probably lacking a Liverpool attacker, but we'll know more about their potential starters after friendlies. It's actually a surprisingly template team from Ali, who does have a reputation of some bold picks historically. Some similarities with Simon's team, Gabriel and Nkunku, Hudson-Odoi and Burn all popping up again. Ali's on Haaland only, Simon was on Haaland and Salah, while Jamie was on Salah only. It's quite amazing how split the Salah versus Haaland debate is among the top managers. Let's see if the final 2 champion teams give us any indication which way to go. The Forest keeper situation is still a bit murky, which puts me off Miguel currently, though Forest did concede an absurd number of goals from set pieces last season, which is why they've signed 6'7" Miguel and 6'4" centre-back Milenkovic. So there's a fair chance Miguel comes straight in with that in mind. Forest were 4th best for expected goals conceded under Nuno, yet they only managed 1 clean sheet. And if we look at expected goals prevented, which is a measurement of expected goals on target minus goals conceded, Sales was 2nd worst in the league with minus 9.5 expected goals prevented over that run, and he's that one competing with Miguel. I've made every data table public in the Scout members area like this one. I strongly recommend checking it out. It's Christmas come early with the amount of FPL tools you get, and it's a 40% pre-season discount with a link below. My only other concern is the light bench in this team. Burn's got Spurs and Man City in his opening 6, so with this setup you are forced to start one of the promoted defenders for less than ideal fixtures. It'd probably have to be Howard Bellis away to Brentford and Bournemouth. Speaking of maverick managers, Ben Crabtree famously won FPL the craziest way we've ever seen. He's an Everton fan, so purely out of spite for Liverpool, he never selects Liverpool players, and he managed to win the entire thing without owning a Liverpool player the entire season. It looks like he's still playing that way. He's gone Flecken in goal, Mikalenko, Hall and Anderson in defence, Gordon and Nkunku, Son, De Bruyne and Minte, Isak and Haaland up top. He's got Areola, Konsa, Howard Bellis and Beto on his bench. Ben sent me some team thoughts as well. He says the players I can't see myself changing are Haaland, Isak, Gordon and Nkunku and Howard Bellis. Everyone else is a maybe or a price point. This team's got 1.5 mil in the bank, so Beto could be a starter, but I'm reluctant to bench money at the start. A defender could become Arsenal or City, but I'm not over enthused on paying money for the most secured ones, and none have great attacking output, and I'm not convinced they'll start with plenty of clean sheets. Minte might revert to Garnacho. It could be very cheap, but I'm concerned that 20 minutes into his first game I'll be shaking my head going, what was I thinking owning a Man United player? Palmer is tricky, I really like him, but I can't look past him being a marked man, and surely less penalties. Son quietly racked up great points total last season. I can see Spurs scoring well to begin with again. I prefer starting with KDB over Foden, but if it looks like he won't start, he could become Palmer or Saka. Keeper wise, I'd probably go 2 4.5 mils to hedge my bets of more than 1 5 mil. Ideal situation is at least 0.5 mil in the bank. I'm normally good at rolling a transfer over the first week, but we'll see. Someone at City doing well against Chelsea could test the restraint. Bob playing well and returning, or Vardy or left wing for example. It's a really unique team from Ben, which is exactly what's required at times to win the whole thing. Minte's been tearing up in pre-season, he's got 2 goals in 2 games with limited minutes. March is out injured still, but they do have a Dingra who can play right wing. Great pick though, and he should be first choice. It's amazing Son's less than 10% owned, facing a promoted side off the bat in Game Week 1. Let's be honest, it wouldn't surprise anyone if he bags a couple of goals and he's 10.2 mil by Game Week 2. So Hall's his Newcastle pick rather than Burn, who we've seen a few times. He too's been immense in pre-season, and this could be his breakout year as a regular starter. Going back to the Pep comments about Foden, you'd imagine De Bruyne almost certainly starts Game Week 1, and again 6.9% owned, and also wouldn't surprise you if he explodes at the start of the season. Some really well considered differentials here. Beto is 5 mil annoyingly, otherwise he'd be in my team for 4.5 mil, but he could definitely be a regular starter for Everton. That said, none of the Everton forwards are very inspiring, they don't exactly score for fun, but a great team from Ben. The man who truly epitomises playing your own game. Lastly, Joshua Ball, who's a bit of a mathematical genius. He went to Oxford University. If it's your cup of tea, he did a really interesting 1-hour webinar on whether maths can tell us how to win fantasy football. I'll link it below. He opens that presentation by literally saying he's not a football expert, he's a mathematician. And his team is Areola, Vardiol, Muniz, Barco, Jota, Saka, Salah, Foden, Isak and Alvarez. Some caveats in these picks. Josh said, Saka could be Palmer, and I might do something around Alvarez to Darwin, depending on how likely Jota looks to start on the slot. I like Alvarez as a potential overlooked City pick in a no Haaland draft, depending on Game Week 1 availability. He'll get returns this season for sure, and Areola is a placeholder as well. And he said, and I guess the last thing that isn't self-explanatory here is Leif Davies, who I'm amazed I haven't seen in more drafts. I guess more people have been put off by our early fixtures, our defence likely being terrible. But we're an attacking team, and Davies is basically an assist machine from left back. Argentina have just reached the quarterfinals in the Olympics, where Alvarez is, so I'd say it's looking decreasingly likely that we see him at the start of the season, and I fully expect Josh to be aware of that one and likely swap him out. Foden being the other question mark at City. Jota's got potential to make a mockery of his price tag if he becomes a regular starter, but that's a big if right now for me. He's not played in pre-season yet anyway. That's another one of the best scout tools, by the way. Every pre-season game, minutes played and attacking returns are recorded, and you literally can't find that information anywhere else. Josh is an Ipswich fan, and he's extremely bullish on Davies, who did get 2 goals and 18 assists in the Championship last season, 4.5 mil defender. He's on corners and some free kicks as well. He reminds me of Doughty in many ways on that left flank, who found his way into a lot of our teams last season. However, Ipswich got promoted with better expected goals conceded per 90, and Davies had a significantly better output in their promotion season. It's just those 2 opening fixtures where you don't want him anywhere near your starting 11. My only concern with Barco is that he may or may not lose his spot when Estupiñán returns, and the current estimate is September or October, so you might only get 1 or 2 good fixtures out of him, and then he could be a risk. You don't want to start him versus United Game Week 2 or Arsenal Game Week 3, so I've been going back and forth whether to go for a lower ceiling but safer formal defender just in case. I can't honestly say I know much about Burns, 6 goals 4 assists last season in the Championship. Rodgers is the more popular 5 mil midfielder, though he is an Ipswich player which is Josh's forte, so perhaps we're missing a trick and Josh knows something we don't. Do any of you have club bias when you pick your FPL teams, or do you put that aside? So reflecting on their teams, the only player that was in every single team was Isak. Gordon appeared 4 times, Salah and Haaland both appeared 3 times, and in terms of the premium defenders, Vardy and Trent appeared 3 times as well. Which was your favourite team? I read every comment, so drop one below and I'll be sure to read it. Maybe this time next year you'll be the FPL champion and we'll be looking at your Game Week 1 team. Thanks very much for watching, hit subscribe and see you soon for the next one.